She watched the rain trace patterns down the window of her empty bedroom. The same bedroom where her husband once promised her forever. The same bedroom where she'd just signed away 12 years of her life on a single sheet of paper. What David didn't know, as he celebrated his freedom that night, was simple. The woman he'd just discarded owned the very ground he stood on. This is the story of Emma Torres, the wife they underestimated and the billionaire they never saw coming. What makes a man throw away a decade of loyalty for a younger face? How does a family turn their back on someone who gave everything, only to embrace a stranger? And how does a woman lose everything in public only to reveal she never needed any of it in the first place? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will make you question everything you think you know about power, loyalty, and revenge. This isn't fiction. This is adapted from real events that happened to a woman in Seattle just 2 years ago. The names have been changed, but the truth remains untouched. Emma Torres grew up in a small town in Oregon. Her father was a mechanic, her mother cleaned houses. She learned early that respect wasn't given, it was earned quietly through hard work and integrity. She put herself through community college, then transferred to the University of Washington, where she studied finance. She wasn't the loudest in the room, she wasn't the most glamorous, but she was sharp, disciplined, and she had a gift for seeing patterns others missed. That's where she met David Sullivan. He was charming, confident, came from a family with old money and older expectations. His parents owned a chain of car dealerships across the Pacific Northwest. They'd built their wealth over 3 generations, and they wore it like armor. David was different. Or so Emma thought. He told her he loved that she was grounded, that she didn't care about status or appearances. He said she made him feel real. They married 6 months after graduation in a small ceremony his family barely attended. His mother had made it clear from the start. Emma wasn't their kind of people. But Emma didn't fight it. She believed love was patient. She believed respect was earned through action, not words. So she supported David. She helped him study for his MBA. She edited his business proposals. She stayed quiet at family dinners when his mother made comments about her background, her clothes, her lack of pedigree. And in the background, while playing the role of the supportive wife, Emma was building something else entirely. She had started investing early, small amounts at first, using money she'd saved from freelance consulting work. She studied markets obsessively. She identified undervalued startups in tech, real estate, green energy. She didn't tell David, not because she was hiding it, but because he never asked. He assumed she was just helping him, just supporting his career, just being the wife his family barely tolerated. By year 5 of their marriage, Emma had quietly amassed a portfolio worth over $3 million. By year 10, it was approaching $50 million. She did it all under an LLC with a name no one would connect to her. She attended investor meetings under her maiden name. She made decisions in boardrooms while David thought she was at yoga or visiting friends. She wasn't trying to deceive him. She just knew that, in his world, in his family's world, a woman's worth was measured by who she stood behind, not what she built herself. Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The shift happened slowly, then all at once. It started with late nights at the office, then weekends away for conferences that didn't exist. Emma noticed the distance but didn't press. She'd learned long ago that confrontation in David's world was seen as weakness, as insecurity. Then came the family dinners, where the tone changed. His mother started making comments, pointed ones, about women who take care of themselves, about wives who make an effort, about how important it is for a man to have a partner who reflects well on him. David's sister would laugh, a sharp little sound, and glance at her brother like they shared a secret. Emma felt it, the way you feel a storm coming before the first drop of rain falls. One evening, she found a receipt in his jacket pocket, dinner for 2 at a restaurant they'd never been to together. Champagne, dessert. The date was their anniversary. The same night he'd told her he had to work late. She didn't confront him, not yet. She did something smarter. She hired a private investigator. 3 weeks later, she had everything. Photos, text messages, hotel receipts. The woman's name was Jessica Landry, 26 years old, worked in marketing at one of David's father's dealerships. Blonde, confident. The kind of woman David's mother would call appropriate. The affair had been going on for 7 months. But what hurt more than the betrayal itself was the conversation she overheard one night when David didn't know she was home. He was on the phone in his office. The door was cracked, and she heard him laugh, that easy laugh she used to love, and say, "She's fine. She'll be fine. Honestly, she'll probably be relieved. It's not like she has anything else going on. She's just been coasting on my success anyway. My mom's right. I should have married someone who actually brought something to the table." Emma stood in the hallway, her hand pressed against the wall to steady herself. 12 years. 12 years of silence, of support, of swallowing pride. And this was how he saw her. As nothing. As a woman coasting. As someone who brought nothing. She didn't cry that night. She didn't scream. She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea that went cold, and she made a decision. 2 days later, she told David she knew. He didn't apologize. He didn't beg. He looked almost relieved. He said he'd been unhappy for years. He said he needed more. He said Jessica understood him in ways Emma never could. His mother, when she found out, actually smiled. She told Emma at a family brunch, in front of everyone, that sometimes these things happen for a reason, that David deserved to be happy, that perhaps Emma would be happier with someone more on her level. Emma signed the divorce papers without a lawyer. David was so confident, so eager to move on, that he didn't even check what she was entitled to. She took nothing. No alimony, no claim to his family's money, no fight. His lawyer actually seemed confused. David seemed thrilled. He moved Jessica into their home 3 weeks later. His family threw them an engagement party 6 months after the divorce was finalized. Emma wasn't invited, obviously. But she heard about it. She heard his mother gave a toast about how grateful she was that David finally had a real partner. 18 months after the divorce, David's father's business started struggling. The car market had shifted. Dealerships were closing. Competition was fierce. They needed an investor, someone with serious capital and industry insight. David's father reached out to a firm he'd heard about, a private equity group that had been quietly buying up automotive real estate and transforming struggling dealerships into profitable ventures. The firm agreed to a meeting. David, his father, and 2 of their top executives flew to the firm's headquarters in downtown Seattle. They were led into a glass-walled conference room on the 20th floor. Leather chairs, minimalist art, the kind of room that smelled like money. They waited. Then the door opened, and Emma Torres walked in. Not as a guest, not as someone's wife, as the CEO. David's face went white. His father looked confused, then shocked. Emma wore a tailored navy suit. Her hair was shorter now, sharper. She carried herself differently. Calm, centered, untouchable. She smiled, polite and professional, and said, "Gentlemen, thank you for coming. I've reviewed your proposal. Let's discuss terms." David couldn't speak. His father stammered something about not realizing, about not knowing. Emma sat down, folded her hands on the table, and said simply, "There's no reason you would have known. I've always preferred to work quietly." The meeting lasted 40 minutes. Emma listened, asked questions, took notes. At the end, she said, "I'll consider your proposal and get back to you within the week. Thank you for your time." As they stood to leave, David finally found his voice. He said, "Emma, I don't understand. When did you?" She looked at him, not with anger, not with bitterness, just with the calm clarity of someone who had long since moved past him. She said, "I've been building this for 15 years, David. You just never thought to ask what I did with my time." Then she turned to his father and said, "You'll hear from my team by Friday." They left in silence. Emma didn't accept the deal, not because she wanted revenge, not because she wanted to watch them fail, but because it wasn't a good investment. Her team found better opportunities. David's father's business eventually sold to a competitor at a loss. David and Jessica broke up a year later. Turns out Jessica was also seeing someone else. His mother stopped hosting brunches. Emma didn't gloat. She didn't post about it. She didn't tell the story to mutual friends. She simply kept building. Today, her firm manages over $400 million in assets. She sits on 3 corporate boards. She mentors young women in finance. And she lives in a penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. The lesson here isn't about revenge. It's about something deeper. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Never assume that because someone doesn't shout, they have nothing to say. Emma didn't need David to see her worth. She didn't need his family's approval. She didn't need validation from people who measured value in all the wrong ways. She knew who she was. And when the world finally looked, she was already miles ahead. So let me ask you, if you were Emma, would you have taken the deal just to watch them squirm? Or would you have walked away like she did? Do you believe silence is stronger than revenge? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, if it made you think differently about power and dignity, share it. Subscribe for more real stories about real people who refuse to stay broken. Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't proving them wrong. It's knowing you never needed them to be right.